I want to talk about enshittification today. Enshittification is a term that was coined by the Canadian British journalist Cory Doctorow in 2022. And it's the process whereby the value that products and services offer its users degrade over time as the company shifts its focus from the user to the shareholder. Now, this is relevant, so bear with me for a second. So we've all experienced enshittification. A classic example I'm going to use is Facebook. So in the initial stages of enshittification, you have recruiting, and this is where the service or product offers really great value to the users. It really wants to convince people to use it. So in the case of Facebook, it was super easy, it was fun, you could connect with all sorts of people, good times. Then it shifts to the dependence phase. This is where it deliberately creates or curates an experience where the user becomes dependent on it. So in the case of Facebook, perhaps it's the only space that you connect with all of your family, or maybe it's the only way that you can chronologically look back on your experiences so you know exactly what you were doing 2 years from today. So it creates a dependence on it. Once it's done that, then it turns to maximizing its value to the shareholders. So this is key. The shift is from the users to the shareholders. And this is when we begin to see the advertisements, the targeted advertisements, the less, random injections of groups and things, and the experience degrades over time. We see this with Meetup, is recently going through it. Facebook, as I mentioned, Amazon Prime with its ads, pretty much any especially technology, tech service, you will see over time it begins to try to monetize its users base, and the experience becomes less and less enjoyable. Now, the end stages of enshittification has always been assumed that technology will just die off. And this is what happened in MySpace. For those of you who are not old enough to remember, it was the predecessor to Facebook, and it just got ugly. Bloatware, all these, advertisements, it just became unpleasant to use. And so people flipped to Facebook. But what's happened in the last few months has made me rethink about this. What is the end stage of enshittification? What if the end stage of enshittification is such a consolidation of power and money that it's not about the tech dying? It's about a fascist takeover of the government to ensure a monopoly of that power gained through the enshittification process. So maybe the end stage of enshittification isn't the death of a product or service, it's the death of a government. It's the introduction of fascism into our system of living. So just food for thought for today. Enshittification, the end stages is fascism. Who'd have thought? If you agree with me, let me know what your thoughts are. Stay safe.
No, I believe in the enshittification theory too, but specifically for social media platforms, it's very easy to understand. It's a bait and switch where the platforms, and for those of us that are old enough to remember the birth of Facebook or even MySpace, the question was always like, how are they making money? Where's the monetization? What we didn't know was surveillance capitalism. What we didn't know, was that they were going to eventually pivot. But so there's layers to the kind of monetization strategies. And so the most nefarious is obviously the surveillance capitalism, where this unholy union between the government and social media platforms is about the scariest thing in the world today, because the social media platforms have somehow been allowed to acquire data that basically tells the government or whoever they give access to everything we've been doing and saying for the last 20 years. But it also comes down to the kind of structure of the monetization schemes where, the kind of data harvesting is one thing, but then the ad revenue, where the initial early phases of every social media platform is a platform that shows the users what the users want to see, connects the users based on what the users want. But then the enshittification process kicks in, where they monetize by shifting from showing what the users want to see to what the advertisers and the platforms and now the government want us to see. And so these platforms that we thought were connecting us are enslaving us. And they've turned into simultaneously the biggest surveillance tools in the history of time, right? And also like the biggest propaganda tools in the history of time. And that's what social media is now. The biggest propaganda tool ever and the biggest surveillance tool ever. And the belief that like all social media platforms aren't really subject to this. I don't know about Blue Sky. I don't know who owns it. I don't know how long it's been around. I don't know. But the idea that it can survive without this enshittification process is a case study for business school, basically. But this is all about surveillance capitalism never should have been legal. Obviously. I mean, the way that they've harvested and stolen our data and are leveraging it is a crime against humanity. I mean that. I mean that literally. The great data theft, the great data heist by the data robber barons is the greatest crime of the last, like, I don't know, 50 years or so. I mean this seriously. This is so bad, right? I mean, I guess we could put Gaza up worse, but like, yeah, I mean, this is capitalism. This is America. Whatever catchy little slogan we want to say. Like the world is not what we were told it was. And Sancho agrees.